My view is that I don't care. The human race as a concept doesn't matter. What matters is the individual consciousnesses and what their value of life is. And so if their individual cells can have a better life for sure and just end and die or whatever, versus causing all of them excess suffering to produce more humans, there's no value to that. There's no value.
What if it was just something as simple as brushing your teeth? Let's just say that brushing your teeth, if you told everybody they had to brush their teeth, it continued the humanity. But if they stopped, for some reason, they all felt happier if they didn't brush their teeth. Would you mandate that they brush their teeth so humanity didn't end?
No. Again,
No.
There's no value to this continue humanity.
Doug,
Why
are they going to brush their fucking teeth under dictator Doug? Is dictator Doug going to say you got to do this or else?
Important question here. Why do you keep obsessing over this continuing humanity thing? Why is this important?
Well, so from my aspect, from the way that I view the world, I don't think that you can have any of this happiness or goals or anything like this if you don't have a humanity for which to achieve those things. And I do think ultimately that God had an edict, at least from my purview, that we do breed and we multiply, and he wanted us to do so for a reason. And I think that the reason is that life is not fair and it is suffering. And there is going to be one of the big problems kind of I see with the world. This is just my view so that you understand it, is that people have embraced materialism to the point where they will stop reproductive activities even in order to get what I want right now for the highest quality of life right now. And I don't think that that's a moral good. I
can see Andrew's point and I can see T-Jump's point.
Well, I wanted to, because I didn't hear an answer there. I heard that God told you so, but what is the value?
Why is God told you so not good enough?
Well, it was the thing you said before that sounded like a good answer. The God told you so is just a terrible answer.
But T-Jump, I got a great question for Andrew on that.
Sure.
If God said, Andrew, if God
told me to do whatever, if God told me to go through and exterminate everything that Pine Creek loved, the AK-47 is coming
Rachel,
out.
You see what your husband's doing to me? I'm a nice guy. And he's like,
what if God told you to become trans?
Andrew, what if we are
logical
think, though? Wouldn't that mean?
Yeah, that would be.
Well, let me finish my question, Andrew. If God actually destroyed the universe tomorrow, but didn't tell anybody, and just poof, everything's gone, would that be bad?
Well, so the question that you're asking, if we look at the purviews of what's logically possible, Doug, you would have to agree.
Lean no.
Stop. It would have to go through the paradigm of what is logically possible. I think people often mess up when we're talking about philosophy, especially, is that logical possibility has to come from a paradigm. From T-Jump's paradigm, that's logically possible. From your paradigm, it's logically possible. From my paradigm, it's not actually logically possible. The question becomes incoherent.
Is it logically possible to create the universe out of nothing?
It is, with uncreated energy.
So then it should be logically possible to destroy the universe into nothing.
Well, no, because then that would be counter to the nature of the thing that I'm appealing to. And remember, in T-Jump's actual answer for his morality, T-Jump stated that a space field of morality, the object just simply can appeal to itself, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. Why am I wrong, Pine Creek Doug?
Well, see, I think the core fundamental difference is the value one places on existence in itself. And I think
I can agree with.
Yeah, and I think a lot of atheists would say that existence is neither good or bad, it is what it is. And so if the universe went extinct tomorrow, that's not bad, that's not good, it just is what it is.
I'm going to answer to this. Before I do, can you just answer one thing for me? And I'm sorry, I know that that's actually kind of bad form, but if you just don't mind, because we're in an informal panel setting, you obviously place some weight on existence and the continuation of existence. Why the fuck do you do that, man?
Why do you think it's obvious I do?
Because you're a right-wing conservative fanatic. I've seen your content. You love reproduction. You think that children are excellent. You want to see more of that in society. Why, man? Why?
Well, because
you know that there's something there.
I'll answer your question. It's because I disagree with T-Jump that I think it would be a horrible way to go if a society would slowly go extinct.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have a lot of old people, like just practically, who's going to change my diaper? I mean, it's going to be bad. And so
what's that answer now, though?
I'd rather a big rock just hit our planet and we just go poof, we're gone. I'd rather Yellowstone just blow up.
Well, before we introduce Rachel,
I
thanks
can
for
actually
being patient.
kind of relate, I think, a bit with that answer. It's like there's almost maybe even T-Jump would agree. There's almost an intuition to it, right?
So the reason we need kids is to take care of you when you're old, so they can change your diapers.
That's true, though. I mean,
so
that's
not really.
practical.
That's not really what
that's
he's
practical.
saying.
That's exactly. That's literally what Doug just said.
Well, he gave an
words.
example.
It's
That's
more than
true. I mean, that's true. But he gave an example. What he's really trying to say is he's like, look, I think intuitively we don't think that non-existence is good, or else T-Jump, why wouldn't you just go grab the 45 next to you and you know what I mean? It makes no sense. You can go off.
Andrew, also T-Jump, you also have in your view, I think you still have this, the best possible world, right? Isn't that paired to your moral paradigm?
Yes.
Okay, so is it possible to have a best possible world without a knower?
A knower? You mean a conscious entity? Like
to value it.
But I would say that a conscious entity who would like to continue living would be the best possible world. If a conscious entity does not want to continue living, it would be better off suiciding or whatever. Doug's answer was the reason we should have kids was because of what would it look like if society started to go out over a long, prolonged period of time. We'd get old, it'd be suffering, unpleasant, but that would be contradictory to the example.
I'm so sorry to cut in, T-Jump, and I'm going to let you get the floor again. But the patriarchy must speak for a second and tell its wife to bring down the charger. I'm sorry. Can you bring down my phone charger? I'd appreciate that. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
And B.S. Lewis asked why women get voice on the panel because we value nepotism. So we play a little bit of a balance game. You know what trouble I'm in,
Pine Creek? Stop being smug. Stop being smug, Pine Creek. Stop judging me.
Let me ask you this. So if we were going extinct under the Christian worldview, wouldn't that mean we're getting closer to the second coming?
I'm not sure actually about that question.
Well, so what Doug said was that the reason he doesn't want us to stop having kids is because it would cause our old people to have lots of suffering. But that would be contradictory to the example, because the example is, would a society who had a full life of full happiness, including at the end, they have robots to change their diapers or whatever. There's none of this added suffering stuff that you require kids to take care of you. They had a full life of all happiness, essentially, and then just didn't have kids. Would that be better or worse than a society that was forced to reproduce or whatever? And so from my view, I don't care whether or not we reproduce. It's not important whether or not we reproduce. It has no value whatsoever. What matters is whether or not we want to reproduce, and if the children we do have, if they have meaningful lives. So obviously reproduction is better if we can produce more kids and they all have happy lives too. Sure. And so us going through a little bit of suffering, like brushing our teeth, in order to produce kids who will live lots of happy lives, sure, that I'm happy with. That's a good argument. But simply valuing existence or valuing reproduction rates over the quality of life of the people who are living now is kind of asinine.
But T-Jump, and we'll get to Rachel. Sorry, Rachel. If
no problem.
Better or worse does require people, it seems like the first and most fundamental thing is existence, even with force or even unpreferred methods, because without the people, you can't say it's better or worse, like Doug said. It would just be a void, right? So
you need
from your system, wouldn't it follow that you would actually you would violate and impose on people to maintain the best, because it could be seen as worse in the short term, but you have to have that as a precondition to get to anything better anyway. So you need to say procreation is better in your system.
No. So in my system, if all conscious agents wanted to die and didn't want to procreate, that'd be perfectly fine. That would be the best of all possible worlds. Whether or not they continue is irrelevant. What matters is do all conscious agents have the freedom to do the things they consent to doing? So in the best of all possible worlds, there's no aging. You wouldn't die of old age. You could just continue living for as long as you wanted to. And so there wouldn't be I don't imagine all conscious agents would suicide, but if they did,
there would be no new life, right?
There probably still would be. Probably many people who would choose to reproduce. Yes, just be slower.
Yeah, but I mean, you would hit a zenith if nobody ever died.
A what?
You would hit a point where how could you possibly continue to reproduce if everybody died? If nobody died.
So in this world, we have infinite power, kind of like gods. We can just create as many worlds as we want. So it
Oh,
wouldn't
I
be
see.
a limitation.
Oh,
Okay.
that's how it works. Okay, Rachel, thank
Just
you
like-
so much for your
just like God.
patience. Welcome to the panel. You have the
Hello.
floor.
Well, I just heard somebody say patriarchy. So Doug said, have we talked about the patriarchy yet? And I heard you guys were talking about that and about standpoint theory and stuff. So
Doug,
did
you
guys-
brought this on yourself, bro. I'm tapping out. I'm tapping out.
Should we
Oh,
talk
come
about
on.
you?
I'm super nice and harmless and totally unscary. Sheesh.
Mhm.
But did you guys ever sort that out, what we think about the patriarchy?
No, I don't think we
Doug's-
did.
Doug supports it.
Doug
Right?
Well,
supports
Generally.
patriarchy?
I'm open to it. The way we left it is if we ran the experiment where, for example, women couldn't vote for 10 years and it led to better outcomes, I think all of us here would say, yeah, then we should do it.
Well,
Oh,
I
but you
think
asked the alternative.
And
I
then I
don't
asked
think we got a-
alternative as well.
I didn't think we get a clear answer from that. So if we
got my
ban men
studies.
from voting and society gets better, would Andrew and Bob and Rachel admit that the patriarchy was bad?
Well, I don't think that voting is like what determines whether we have a patriarchy. I think that's one very small part of it. I know that like to the broad world, they think that the 19th Amendment was like the thing that took down the patriarchy, but I wouldn't actually say that at all. So, I mean, like Andrew said, we could limit suffrage in lots of ways and we might have varying outcomes. I personally am not a democracy enjoyer. I don't think voting and representative republics are a very good system of government at all. So I don't know if I would focus mainly on just voting. I think there's a lot of other ways to determine, like, if we have a patriarchy. For example, all the feminists argued that even after they got the vote, we were still living under a patriarchy. And a lot of them think we still are living under a patriarchy. I wouldn't say that. But I mean, even if women can't vote or can vote, do you guys think there's we could still have a patriarchy regardless of that?
I think there's a natural hierarchy that men do certain things in the world and women do certain things in the world, and they fall into certain places in civilization, in society, and that's just how it is.
I also think that whatever outcome you came to with either of those two hypotheticals, whatever outcome you had and whatever system you had of society or of justice, governance, would still be upheld by force.
Yeah.
And this is Andrew's, typical argument against all these people is that no matter what hypothetical you come to, if you take the methodology that gets you the hypothetical, let's say women rule the world, and you get to this outcome where all the outcomes are better and it's beautiful, that to protect that, you still then appeal to pure muscle in the end,
Yeah.
right?
Any
So you can't
type of
you can't get away
illusion
from
of
it.
women's rights is going to be enforced and upheld
Right.
by men regardless. So if we have not a patriarchy, if we've got an egalitarian or a matriarchal system, it's only that way because men still decided to facilitate such a system, if that
Yeah,
makes
it's like
sense.
LARPing. It's
Do
like
you,
a
think
LARP.
do you think it's bad for women to be in high places of power, like CEOs of big corporations, stuff like that?
Yeah, I do.
What do you think? What's your reasons for that?
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. One is that women do tend to be a lot more emotionally driven and a lot less rational. And we're biologically programmed, and if you guys are naturalists, you'll actually agree with me on this point. We're programmed for maternity. There's a lot that went into getting women to be successful at reproduction and being moms, and you have a baby attached to you for at least 2 years after it's born. You're very vulnerable for the whole time you're pregnant, the whole time you have a newborn and toddlers. And so women tend to want to distribute everything evenly. We want to make everything fair. We want to make sure everyone survives.
Commie mommies. That's what you are.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Whereas, so like this is the irony, right? Of all the libertarians say, we have to give women voting rights because that's freedom and we want maximum freedom and we want maximum liberty. But by giving women voting rights, you ensure that whatever freedom or liberty you had is going to go away, because women are always going to vote for a nanny state. They're going to always vote for protection over freedom. They're going to vote for security over liberty. They're going to be risk adverse. They're going to be conflict avoidant. And so you're going to get less liberty and less freedom if women are voting.
So let me
Look-
modify my question for a little bit. Let's say
Look
that
at him pretending to listen. You and Andrew are similar in behaviors. And
Yeah, when women come
look
on
at
the
him
panel, I
pretending.
just shut
Look
down.
at him. Look at him. Look at him pretending.
So
Look
let's
at
say
that.
that
He's like,
let's say
wow,
that
she's so interesting.
Ironically, proof of oh shit, I just took everyone off. Ironically, proof of the patriarchy. Just Doug.
Shit.
Oops.
Way to go.
Sorry.
Wait,
sorry,
why
sorry,
did you just ruin the whole
sorry,
fucking panel?
sorry.
You know, this poor guy was just
One
over here
glass of
messing.
wine. Yeah. Okay,
Well,
let me shift these around. Okay,
So let's say
where
that
were
women
we?
do vote for all those things you mentioned, but society ends up for 10 years, and society ends up better off, longer health standards, better quality of life, lower poverty, et cetera, et cetera. Would you admit that the anti-patriarchy was good?
Well, no, because I'm not a utilitarian and I don't do things based on outcome. My moral view of the world is not based purely on outcome. For one, you can't ever just completely predict outcomes. There's too many variables to say, well, if women vote, I mean, you can pose the question if we could prove it, but I don't think that's
Well, let's say it happened. Let's say we just let them vote and institute all those different things you said over a period of 50 years, and after 50 years, the quality of life in every country we did this was significantly better, and the quality of life in the countries that did not do this were not better.
It would depend on what you mean by quality of life, because I have a whole chapter in this book. The whole last chapter goes over the outcomes of the last 100 years of women voting and being
Debt. Pure debt.
It's really bad. Like every metric of well-being that you guys as atheists and naturalists
Yes.
would point
Oh,
to
hang on. I'm
has
sorry.
gotten worse.
Pine Creek, fucking Doug. I will send you a signed copy of the book. I know you wanted to ask. I'll send you the signed copy of the book. Why don't you calm the fuck down, Doug? Anyway, back to this. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut.
I'm so happy I didn't have to ask. It's so
So
embarrassing.
I have a book I like to reference as well. It's called The Better Angels of Our Natures by Steven Pinker. It does a pretty really good analysis of crime rates, lowering of crime rates, lowering of murder rates, increasing quality of life, happiness level, food, access to opportunities, freedoms, pretty much every standard that most philosophers use when we're trying to establish anything in morality has improved drastically by increasing all of those things, like a welfare state, healthcare in countries that do socialized healthcare or a mixed economy healthcare drastically beat out pretty much every privatized healthcare system in existence, with one exception, which is Singapore. Same with housing and assistance, and like the best government program.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, the best government program that's ever done anything for anybody is the EITC, the Earned Income Tax Credit, where the government essentially just doubled people's incomes in low poverty conditions, and it saved the lives of tens of thousands of children overnight. So if we look at the data, it shows that all those protectionist socialist policies benefit the lives of pretty much everybody significantly everywhere in the world,
but lead to lack of population. It's interesting you said Singapore. My wife is half Singaporean, and they have to do drastic measures to repopulate now.
Well, again, I don't care about that. It literally doesn't matter. Literally doesn't matter.
It is relevant, because what you call well-being, I think we've established, right, Tom, that your goal of well-being could just be a blip in time, and then it all fades away and it's fine. But from our view, if you were to achieve well-being, you would want to sustain it, and to sustain it, you need to have children.
But now
is it better to sustain well-being and outcomes than not?
Again, as I mentioned, sustaining means nothing. It literally doesn't matter if humanity continues. What matters is the quality of the life of the individual consciousnesses. And
do you need a day for that? Do you need a week for that? That doesn't make any sense.
So
you're saying that
so
the
point
time
here
frame
is,
doesn't
as
matter,
you guys
but you
mentioned,
need time.
If we're comparing the two extremes, a world where everybody lives happy lives and never reproduces, or a world where people are forced to reproduce and be slaves, clearly the one where the world ends and there's no more children is a better option than the one where everyone's forced to be slaves and have children. The reproduction part just doesn't matter. So whether or not we have more kids isn't a measurement on the happiness scale. It's not a measurement on the well-being scale. There is no part.
Not based on women.
Not to interject,
kids.
but I wanted to jump in just because that's actually not true. We have like major consequences from declining birth rates. One of which is we have a massive labor shortage right now. We have supply chain interruptions. We are now encouraging people to do assisted self-deletion because we don't have enough population growth to sustain people. It's causing massive problems in quality of life. It's causing massive problems in interruptions of the food system, the healthcare system, and it's only going to get worse. So that's one aspect. But the other thing is Pinker's stuff has been torn apart by a lot of people a lot smarter than me who say it's kind of bullshit. And what I would say in response to his data is that my data shows that if you look at things like mental health outcomes, substance abuse, homelessness, all the metrics you would look at for well-being for children, when they grow up in broken families, if they grow up in a disrupted family system of any kind, they are at far higher risk. So like all the children that they find in, inpatient mental health facilities, they did a big study where like 88% of these kids come from homes where there's some type of disruption. The dad's not there. The parents are divorced, remarried, things like that. The breakdown of the family unit has caused a lot of suffering, a lot of unwell being for
So
a
I'm
lot
a
of
little
people.
lost there because those aren't issues in most Western countries. They're just not. That's an
Yes,
American
they are.
issue.
What do you
No,
mean?
no,
What
not
are
really.
issues?
So like, the most countries have the well-being of the children is significantly better than everywhere else in the world. There is no comparison.
So
Everywhere,
you're
every
saying,
standard
wait a
of
minute, you're
every
just
Western
saying
nation does
material, you're
better.
saying material conditions are better for kids
No,
in Western
psychological
countries?
well-being, happiness, every single criterion of the psychological state of well-being of kids is better in Western nations than anywhere else, in any time period, anywhere in history. This is not even contentious.
No, we don't have any measurements for the psychological well-being of children across time in different parts of the world. No, we don't.
No,
we don't have
literally
data for that.
Can you
We
show me the
literally
data
do.
of the psychological conditions of somebody who was born in the year 1000 AD, sir?
The year 1000? We can actually, yes.
Yo, go ahead. I'll
wait.
wait. Yeah, I'll wait. You show me the psychological conditions.
This is
okay,
well
go ahead.
JimBob, you keep mentioning Western nations, but what about China with low birth rates?
China? What about China?
There are people with psychology PhDs that are historians that have done work on this stuff. I've certainly read it.
No,
It's all speculation. It's all
No,
speculation.
this is a Republican trope where they say
conclusive
there is conclusive data. The consensus in every single academic field is
Consensus
exactly
is
Consensus is not.
Consensus
is not a conclusion.
Why do you guys not understand how science works? So the consensus.
Oh, we
is
don't know
the
how science works.
Science, it's not
close your eyes.
consensus.
Close your eyes and tell me
yeah.
the scientific method. Just tell me the scientific method.
Tell
me.
Hypothesis, prediction, conclusion. There you go. It's not even hard. So what you guys were saying is wrong.
Close.
No, it's
close.
Almost.
Almost.
It also depends on what you're talking about too.
Okay.
No, that is the scientific method. You guys, if you don't think you're wrong, if you think I'm wrong on that, you know nothing about this.
Wait, say it again.
Hypothesis,
so
prediction, conclusion.
Wait, do you need an observation before a hypothesis?
What?
Yes, I need an observation before a hypothesis.
Yeah, you skipped that part. Yeah.
No, I didn't skip that part. That's the part of the middle.
Come on, nail polish.
Okay, go on.
Yes, I do.
Go on, let him go. Let him go.
Is that to go with the new lesbian hairdo? It's very cute. I love it.
Oh,
so,
ruthless.
cute.
Go ahead.
Again,
go ahead.
As I mentioned, the consensus in every academic field is the quality of life has been improving drastically everywhere, especially in Western nations over time. If you think the quality of life or the psychological well-being of a kid in the 1000 is better than a kid today, you're delusional. You just know nothing about the field. You know nothing about research in the field. So it is a fact that
in the field of psychology?
Every academic field, psychology, history, well-being, neurology, ethics,
so you know that
field.
the field of psychology has a massive crisis when it comes to
which has nothing to do with the topic. Irrelevant.
Oh,
so yes, there is a reproducibility
so the fact that
of
you
modern
can't reproduce any of these studies, the fact that there's a replication crisis that's the highest in
has
psychology has nothing to do
nothing
with the
to
study of
do-
psychology and the history of psychology.
has literally nothing to do with the fact that the well-being of children today is better than that of when they were starving to death and had the plague. Yes. So the fact that
that's a result of modern technology. That's not a result of the breakdown of the family unit. You're the one who doesn't know how to do
breakdown of the
science.
family unit has nothing to do with Western culture either, because it's not a thing in most Western cultures. Most Western cultures don't have a breakdown of the family unit.
Yes, they
it's
do.
An American issue. No, they don't.
Yes,
in fact,
they do.
there's many that have far more of a family unit.
Australia, the UK, France,
all
United
have
States, Canada.
phenomenal
Yes, they
health
do.
and wellness standards in every criterion. So again, nothing you've said has even come close to
You're
addressing the
conflating
points I
two
brought up.
issues.
No, I'm
I'll
just
let
one
you
issue.
finish so
What
that you
is
can
the
do your-
well-being of humans, both children and adults? And in every society, the Western nations who are doing all the socialist stuff about healthcare and providing people with extra money and giving people more rights, they're doing better by every metric. Anybody who disagrees is just delusional and knows nothing about the data. And the fact that you're bringing up certain cherry-picked examples doesn't change that. The fact is, guess what? Healthcare for today, well-being for today, for the psychological well-being of kids is better than it's ever been in human history. And that's a fact.
Okay, are you done now?
Sure.
Can I reply?
Sure.
Okay. We can have advanced technology that gives people better healthcare systems, better food systems, better material conditions, And at the same time that we have those technological advances that help us with our material conditions, we can also not have feminism, which breaks down the family unit, causes massive amounts of divorce or children born out of wedlock, and causes all kinds of problems for kids growing up. If you think that growing up in broken homes is, not a problem for kids, then you're the one who doesn't know the data.
I don't think he believes that, though, Rachel.
No, I agree. Broken homes are a problem, but that doesn't so the point here, healthcare, socialized healthcare, has saved hundreds of millions of lives.
What does that have to do with feminism?
Who paid for it? The socialist programs, the socialist government feminist programs of the things you said women
You're
vote
saying
for.
we need feminism so we can have socialism to fix all the problems that feminism caused? That's
literally
retarded.
None of that I said.
See, so first what you do is you get the feminism and it causes all this social disruption and fucks everybody up. But then it's good because we get the women to vote for socialism and then you fix all the problems with the socialism.
Okay, let's go back to what you said.
This guy's supposed to be smart?
You think there's no such thing as broken homes during the church like 1,000 years ago? There was no broken homes? I mean, broken homes has always been a thing.
No, not to the extent that it is now. Not even close. Have you seen the data?
Neil.
What do you mean?
Did you have a broken home, Neil?
Neil Heel.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, then you know it's awesome.
Do you know how many kids were born out of wedlock in 1960 versus how many kids are born out of wedlock now?
Well, that's not the same as saying there wasn't broken homes before, and now there are broken homes.
Do you know how rare divorce was prior to 40 years ago? Extremely rare. To say there hasn't been a massive epidemic increase in broken homes over the last 70 years since we've implemented feminism as the default is ridiculous. Everybody knows this. I mean, we can just take a look at the data. I have a piece on my Substack going over the last 45 years of national incidence studies, which looks at all of the data around, children and women's welfare and what situations and conditions cause the most abuse, harm, social problems with well-being. And unequivocally, far and away, they say that for children to grow up in an intact home with both biological parents married is, by a factor of about 12, the safest way for children to grow up.
No, it's not. So you kind of ignored the factors of having food and not dying of the plague. But
you can have that without the feminism. Can you not?
No, you can't. So again, the reason I brought up all these socialized governments with
why can't you?
Wait. Let's start there.
Literally what I'm answering. So, as you mentioned, women vote for things like protectionism and government's safety nets. Healthcare is one of these. Most of the Republican systems don't vote for these things. They're against all of these things. So all of the very advanced healthcare we see in all the Western nations, they're called socialized healthcare for a reason. Those are all those women things you keep voting for, these safety nets and the government oversight and stuff. And they work. They literally work
you wouldn't
objectively
need
more
them
than everything
if you
else.
had intact families and
That's
you just had
wrong.
The Industrial Revolution and advancement in technology is what created the increase in material well-being. It wasn't a fact that we broke down the family unit and then built it back up with socialism. That's just objective.
I don't care about the family unit. The family unit is irrelevant. It doesn't even it pales in comparison to the deaths of hunger and disease. Family unit means
but
nothing.
I'm saying you can fix those things with technology and then also get rid of the feminism that causes all the social and psychological problems.
What do you know
Governments,
causes it?
companies.
Where are you getting this from? What's the methodology of deciding that this is what's causing that? And are you just looking for data to fit the narrative that you want? You just start with a narrative, and then is that your methodology? You just start with the narrative, and then cherry pick the data that you think fits the narrative the best.
You mean me? Are you talking to me? No, this is like my specialty, like history subject that I've studied for years. And we can see that all those material increases in well-being started as a result of the Industrial Revolution and an increase in technology. Those are the things that brought better healthcare systems, better food systems, less starvation. It was not a result specifically and directly of socialist programs. If anything, the 20th century proves the opposite. When you have communism in the USSR, everybody starves to death. When you have communism,
economy, we're talking about a command economy with a whole different set of how they run their government. We're talking about a free market over here.
Well, what's a command economy, Neil?
When the government just controls everything, and there's no free market.
Okay.
I don't care about Russia.
So-
Who cares about Russia? Let's
That's
talk
why-
about
that's
the
why I said,
countries.
who cares about
You're
Russia?
saying that socialism is responsible for
Well-
the increase in material well-being, and I'm saying it's not. It's technology.
So again, then if that was the case, then the countries with the greatest technology would have the greatest wealth care. You know what is not the case? That is wrong. That is provably wrong. You have to be just completely
What
delusional
countries
to think that's
have
the
the
case.
best health care?
Yeah, great
Norway,
question. I was just about to ask that.
Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Japan.
now
Can
hang
you
on,
show
when-
us?
Those
hang on,
countries
America.
are
Doug,
massively technologically
Doug, what were we
advanced.
gonna ask?
Germany,
Wait.
Germany was at the forefront of medical technology. They didn't get that from socialism.
You have to ask this question with T-Jump.
America is the most technologically advanced.
Doug, you have a
America
question.
does not have the best healthcare.
If
The ones
price-
that have the best healthcare are the ones who implemented the socialist. I'm not pro-socialism. I hate socialism.
That's a
But
good
the
point.
socialist policies who do not have the best technology. They, as the Republicans complain about all the time, where's the innovation in all of their healthcare? It's all coming from America. Blah 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 blah.
Wait,
No,
if
the
this
level of
was a-
innovation is irrelevant. What matters is the moderate level of innovation that is spread across the majority. Higher levels of innovation, higher levels of technology are irrelevant compared to the moderate level of technology that is spread across a mass majority.
So
of
when
people,
you
like
say
people
best,
like
your
Noah.
metrics are different than maybe Rachel's. When you say the best healthcare, you're taking into account the number of people can help, not necessarily the quality given to each person. Is that correct?
Well, I'm counting the psychological well-being of all the children, not just the rich white children.
Okay, yeah. But so now let me ask you this: money's no object. Which countries in the world have the best healthcare?
Money's no object. Oh,
Yeah.
any of them. If you have money, you can get any healthcare anywhere you want.
No,
Which
money's-
countries
That's a
have the
non
best
sequitur. That's not even the
healthcare?
question he asked. Come on, man.
No. So if money's no object, you can fly any doctor from anywhere in the world to do anything you want.
But
That's-
wait, you
I
guys
agree
were,
with
we're
this.
losing
You're
track.
avoiding the question.
His original argument was that you need feminism somehow to get this high quality health.
The correct answer is going to be United States, maybe Germany.
And it's going to be Japan. Japan's going to beat you.
Yeah, but the United States is up there, right?
Yes, if you have infinite
So
money.
your problem is your definition of best is when you factor in the money.
Yes, that's the reason.
Yeah,
The reason
okay.
I'm saying that the healthcare system, the socialized healthcare system, is better is because it improves the psychological state of the children, of all the children, not just the rich white children, of all
So
the
does
children.
having a father in the home.
That's true. I agree. I am agreement with you.
Right. So why can't we have this increase in technology that gives us better material conditions without the feminism that disrupts the social order and the family?
So
I don't understand what is your argument that we need the feminism to get the better healthcare outcomes?
No.
sort of. So it's like the better healthcare outcomes happen if we keep the broken families, but add the better healthcare system of socialism. The health standards rise more.
Wait, you're advocating for broken families combined with better health care? Or you're just saying if
So
that's
just
the case?
listen to the words first, and then
Okay.
so
All
if
right,
we
fair enough,
keep
fair
the
enough.
broken families. We keep the broken families. Say this is an intrinsic part of feminism. You got to have broken families for feminism, but it also comes with the socialized healthcare. So you got to take both of them because they're both the feminist package or whatever. And then we have this is option A: broken families plus socialized medicine, or option B: America's non-broken religious something or another plus